Want the perfect spice cookie? Let's make Pfeffernusse. So good. These spice cookies may be little, but they are packed with a big punch. Here is what all you're going to need. All-purpose flour, baking soda, a variety of spices, including cinnamon, ground allspice, ground cloves, freshly ground nutmeg, ground pepper, cardamom, and orange zest. And then you're also going to need a half a cup of unsalted butter, some packed light or dark brown sugar, molasses, honey, eggs, and vanilla. And if you'll go ahead and tap the like button, it'll really help me out and I would appreciate it so much. Stick around to the end because we'll also be going over how we're going to finish these off, and it's going to be in a special way that's going to make these irresistible. For now, we are adding our softened butter, brown sugar, and molasses to the bowl. In the recipe, it says you can use dark or light brown sugar. That just depends on how much of a molasses flavor you like in your cookie. I love the molasses flavor, and so I am not scared to go ahead and put dark brown sugar in these cookies. But if you want a cookie that's a little bit milder, then I would go for the light brown sugar or use whichever you have on hand. Now, when looking for a recipe for these cookies, I went on quite the goose chase. First of all, it stemmed from the assorted box of cookies you can find at Walmart around Christmas time every year that has a variety of cookies in it, including shortbread, some chocolate chip type shortbread cookies, a chocolate cookie that has sugar on top of it, and then another cookie that I never knew the name of that was covered in powdered sugar. So I set out to figure out what the name of this cookie was because every year I buy at least one box of these cookies, and there are only like 4 or 5 of these powdered sugar cookies in the box. And so they're little bitty. They're like 2 bites per cookie. So needless to say, it's not enough. So this year I said, I'm going to figure out what this cookie is and I'm going to make it. But don't you know that the box that they have at Walmart does not have the name of this cookie on it? I couldn't believe it. So next I got on Google and, or I got on Walmart.com and searched up the cookies, and I thought they might have it listed on the description. Well, I found the cookies, but still no name for this cookie. They listed shortbread, they listed chocolate chip. They did not name this powdered sugar cookie. And I was like, really? Well, turns out I was not the only one looking for the name of this cookie because there were people on Reddit, on Facebook, you name it, everywhere, all asking what this powdered sugar cookie was in this assorted cookie box. This is really good honey here too. Sweetheart honey, it is made in the town where I live. And then this is my all-time favorite vanilla. Oh my gosh, it is so good. If you get this vanilla, you're going to want to just go open it up and smell it randomly. I am not kidding you. It smells so delicious. It is different than any other vanilla I've ever used. So I searched Google, searched Reddit, you name it. I looked. I could not figure out the name of this cookie. And people were recommending different cookies, like what they thought it would be. And there were all different ones, like Danish something or other, some other kind of German word to start with an L. I don't remember. Snowball cookies, like that's not it. I don't know. There was a whole slew of different cookies people were throwing out there. I'm like, this is not it, guys. This is not the cookie. And the people that were looking for the answer also knew that was not what this is. So I thought, you know what? I belong to several cookie groups on Facebook. Surely somebody in one of these groups has to know what this cookie is. So I made a post in one of my cookie groups and asked what the name of this cookie was. Well, I got a bunch of the same answers that everybody else had already gotten all over the internet. The wedding cookies, Danish cookies, shortbread something, that I don't know, a whole bunch of names. But this cookie, it's almost like a gingerbread cookie, but I would say a little bit more of a punch than gingerbread. I guess it depends on how you make your gingerbread. My gingerbread is not that spicy. This is more like leaning towards a ginger snap. But anyways, finally, somebody commented on my Facebook post a couple hours after I posted it and said, I finally remembered these are Pfeffernusse. And I was like, what the heck is Pfeffernüsse? And I was still skeptical, like, does this person really know what they're talking about? Because I had already been given so many wrong answers. So here I go to Google and type in Pfeffernusse, and it's like, it's a German cookie, the cookie originating in Germany, and the rough translation of it is pepper nuts. I'm thinking, there are no nuts in this cookie. Again, this is not going to be the right thing. But then when I kept reading and reading all the recipes, there weren't any nuts in it. So I think it's, pepper nuts because of maybe the peppercorns, because there is pepper in it. Maybe that's why. Maybe they consider that a nut. I don't know. But anyways, that is the name of it. And there is a large variety of recipes for these Pfeffernusse cookies. So I added orange zest to mine, which I think I only saw one recipe that had orange zest in it, but I thought, that would be a tasty addition. But you definitely don't have to put orange zest in it. And the spices I've listed off, you don't have to use all of them or the same amount. You can adjust it however you want. You just want to cream your sugars, your egg together, or your sugars and your butter together really well for a few minutes. And then you're going to add in your egg, vanilla, and the orange zest. Now here are all the spices here in this bowl. Aren't they pretty? I love all the shades of the brown neutral colors. And whenever I use spices, especially nutmeg, which I did put in the recipe to use fresh nutmeg, but I didn't have any, so I used dried nutmeg, I always run it through a little sifter because the nutmeg, it usually has some bigger little pieces, just like this. You can see them in the little mesh there. And I don't like, yeah, that's what was in it. I don't like that getting in my recipes because sometimes you can get like a bite with some grit in it and it's just not appealing to me. So I always sift my spices for anything that calls for anything besides cinnamon, really. If it's like allspice, pumpkin spice, all the other stuff, I always sift it. So every time I stop my mixer, I always scrape my bowl down. I love using this spatula that's slightly domed because it scrapes down the bowl so nicely. I love this mixer. It's a little workhorse, let me tell you. The motor on it is amazing. The bowl is huge. Actually, this past weekend, I just made a quadruple batch of royal icing in it with no problem at all. And if you're interested in this mixer or anything, that the vanilla, yada yada, all the other stuff, there will be a link below, and just click on it to look at everything I recommend. Also, I'll link the recipe down below in the notes. I was fanning the air, like sniffing it, because it smells so good. I am a sucker for anything cinnamon. And once you start bringing in all these other spices and the molasses and the honey, it is just like Christmas in your mouth. It is so homey and good and warm. It is just one of those cookies that is going to make you feel warm and fuzzy inside, and packs a big punch. So, I mean, these little cookies are like, oh, I mean, I probably did a good sized tablespoon of dough for each one. So they're not very big, but honestly, there's so much flavor in one that you can just savor it, and it just really quenches that cinnamon spice craving. If you guys ever have that like me. So this dough, after you add the flour and the spices, you just want to mix it until it's all combined. Whenever you add your flour, you never want to mix it a whole lot, just until it's combined, because if you keep mixing that flour with the beater, it is going to result in a tough cookie that has kind of a coarse crumb to it when you bite into it. So to keep your cookies tender and nice, not tough, you just want to mix the flour in until it is just combined. So we're going to scrape all of this down, and then I think I tasted the dough, which honestly, it does have raw egg in it, so I'm not going to tell you to taste your dough. But I do like to taste my dough, because I can tell if there's something else I want to add to it, or if there's too much of something and I need to balance it out. So, look, I'm just gonna quit eating it. But these cookies were just for us, so not like, you know. Did you think I was gonna eat that big old piece of cookie dough? I mean, I wouldn't put it past me, but. So good. I mean, I tell you what, guys, I love cinnamon cookies so much, and like gingerbread so much. I'm pretty sure I'm standing here eating all of that dough. I cannot keep gingerbread dough in my freezer. I have to make it when I need to use it, because if it's in my freezer, I just want to get it out and either eat the dough or bake it and eat it. I love cinnamon so much. It's ridiculous. Like I was saying, there were so many recipes that I found on Google for this cookie. I imagine different families probably had different recipes that got passed down and changed, over time. I don't know. But in general, they were saying to use a rounded teaspoon, and you roll these into a ball onto a cookie sheet. Well, I used the little teaspoon just to kind of have an idea in my head of what that looked like. And then I'm going to be slicing my dough here and just slicing it out in strips and then crosswise, just to make little squares, just because it'll save time rather than scooping a teaspoon and then rolling it, scooping a teaspoon and then rolling it. I will just cut all of these at once, and then they'll be ready to roll. So you want to roll these into a nice round ball, put them on the cookie sheet. They do spread slightly, so I would leave about an inch probably between. It should be safe doing that. Or maybe a little more than an inch, actually, inch and a half or 2 inches. And like with any rolled cookie, of course, I always roll mine bigger than they're really supposed to be. I don't know how that happens, but So we're just gonna go through and roll all of these. Now we're gonna go ahead and make our glaze for these cookies. And we're not only just going to use a glaze, so make sure you stay tuned till the end and you'll see how these get finished off. But to make the glaze, it's just powdered sugar, milk, and vanilla. And I always sift my powdered sugar through when I'm making glaze because it can tend to get clumpy, and then I just dumped it in there and didn't sift it through. It's because I had just washed that little sifter thing and it was just barely slightly damp. And so when I put the powdered sugar in there, it just clogged up all the holes. It clogged up all the holes and I couldn't get it to go through. So I just dumped it in there. And I'm not even going to pretend and try to put it through the sifter now. I'm just dumping it from the canister straight into the bowl. Oh my. Okay, so then we just add milk and vanilla and whisk this. You want to wait until your cookies have probably come out of the oven and have started cooling, because you're not going to want to put this glaze on them until they are completely cool, or else the glaze is going to just run right off and end up in a puddle. So, oh shoot, I forgot that I put in some rum extract in this also. That's right. Well, some of the recipes did call for some different types of whatever, liquor in the glaze. I promise I haven't been in the liquor. Um, it called for different kinds of liquor in the glaze, and like cherry something or rum, but we don't keep any of that around. So I just use some of this rum extract in with the vanilla. It was actually pretty good. I'm telling you, you guys, if you make these, your house is gonna smell so amazing. So these cookies, you can see how they spread out some, and they are nicely domed shape on the top, which is exactly how Pfeffernusse is supposed to be, apparently. Now the ones at Walmart, I will say, are flat and crunchy, and they are not soft like these. However, the ones in the Walmart box will always have a special place in my heart. I'm not even gonna lie. Let's try this. So good. You guys have to make these. Let me know if you make them down below. I want to know what you think of the recipe. But like I was saying, the ones at Walmart are crunchy and they are good just in their own way. You know, when you make something homemade, it doesn't taste like what you buy at the store, and that is usually a good thing. These are amazing. They are so good. So we have this glaze that we just mixed up, and I am going to just dump each of these cookies into the glaze and put them on this little rack to kind of drip off. Now the cookies you see up on the upper left hand side, I just coated those in powdered sugar alone. The ones from the store are in powdered sugar alone. So I wanted to see how that was. Now, some of the recipes said to coat them in powdered sugar, and if you do that and just do powdered sugar by itself, I would go ahead and coat them while they're still a little warm. That way it sticks to the cookie better. But if you do the glaze, you want your cookies to be completely cooled. So then we're going to dip each one in this glaze and let it kind of drip down off of this rack. Now I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, and I'll meet you when we're done. All right, now we're ready to finish these off in our own special way. And we just got done dipping all these in the glaze. And now we're also going to sprinkle powdered sugar on top. Yes, double dipped in sugar makes everything better. Don't even try to deny it. So we just, oh my god, me and the sifting in this video, it's ridiculous. So I put the powdered sugar in this little sifter and just shake it over the cookies. And then apparently at the end, I just dump it all over the cookies anyways. So I don't know. I don't know what the point is. Whatever. But I'm going to tell you, these little cookies were so good. The next day, because I wanted the icing and everything to dry on them before I took pictures of them, the next day I put a bunch of them on a little platter, and I always take my food photos on our table because it's in front of a big window, and I had them sitting over there on the platter to take pictures. Well, it only left a few of them on the plate in the kitchen that I wasn't using for pictures. And my husband went through the kitchen and he was like, what happened to all the, or he went through the kitchen and I was like, how many cookies are left? Because I knew he would think that somebody had ate them all. And he was like, 5. And I said, well, what happened to them? He goes, I don't know, but I know what's happening to these 5. And he took all of them. And I was just like, look at the table. I have them on a platter to take pictures. He was like, oh, well, but he didn't put any of his back. He just took them right on in the living room and sat and ate them. I'm telling you, these are so good. Look at that. Now, I did not find a single recipe that said to dip them in icing and coat in powdered sugar, but I did read a YouTube comment on somebody else's Pfeffernusse video that said to do both, that their like culinary instructor or something had told them that that is how it's traditionally done, and that also they can be aged so that they become crunchy. So I'm guessing the ones at Walmart are probably not the freshest thing in the world, and they, who knows, but they're crunchy. These are not. They are both good in their own way. These are wonderful. They will make your house smell wonderful. These would make a perfect little gift for a neighbor or such, or to have a tea party. Oh, wouldn't these little cookies be so cute for a tea party? Anyways, if you don't want to douse them with powdered sugar on top of the powdered sugar glaze, you can also sprinkle them with some sprinkles, or you can dust some luster dust over it, which is just a metallic dust that people use mainly when they decorate cookies or cakes. You could sprinkle some metallic luster dust over them. I think that would be really pretty to use some pearl or silver luster dust on them. But anyways, I hope that you make these cookies because they are really wonderful. Like I said, the recipe will be linked down below. Please subscribe if you stayed this long. I really appreciate it. And I will see you next time.